Alright, so got them all read. The last of these kind of thing, another post-credit, what I call the post-credit comic book reviews. Now what I mean by that, I mean that I have the comics in kind of like two categories. One is the image book, the image guys, like, oh, I got a comic by Paul Cornell. I got his image work, I got all of his image work, so I wanted to see what the library has for Paul Cornell books. Or if I feel there's need to, ones that are my personal collection, but usually just a library. And then I have miscellaneous, where I'm like, it doesn't matter. It's more just like Tom Taylor and Alex Segura, who hasn't written anything for Image. So I put those, and then I get comics from those guys, kind of thing. That's how I've been doing it ever since I started my job. So ever since August, late August, I've done that. And I like doing it this routine. Yeah, kind of. There is one major downside, and that's the case of like Deceased. That's written by Tom Taylor, so I'm reading Deceased Volume 1, and then next time I get a stack of books, it's gonna be I'm reading Wonder Woman by Brian Azzarello and Batman by Grant Morrison, so obviously I'm not including Deceased in that pile. The post-credit scene is in between, because I put in books in the library, they don't always come in right when I want them to. So to tie me over, and because it's more because I know that there's two catalogs from putting in library books. One takes longer than the other, and sometimes I am good with it and it'll come in when it's supposed to, but I'll always have that little break in between. That's what I call the post-credit scenes. So further ado, let's get into it. First one up is, I had this little bookmark here. The coworker got me, actually. It's a little bookmark. I'm not going to show what it is exactly because politics and all that. No, it's a Ruth Bader Ginsburg bookmark. It's a pretty nice little bookmark, even if you may or may not agree with her politics. I don't know who she is. I know she's a judge, but other than that, I've heard like very few things about her, so I can't say anything about it. I don't have to say it. I don't have to say anything about it because I don't know anything about it. I just keep it because a coworker got it for me. It was just a little bookmark, but it's one of those things I know. The thought counts, all that shit. Anyways, The Night Eaters by Marjorie Liu. This is a fantastic comic. I've read this several times. I'll be reading it several more times. Sometimes there's not a whole lot to say about the comic. It's pretty much, I've talked about the comic a lot. I don't like to regurgitate too much. But basically, if you like Monstrous, you like that kind of feel, you like Sam Kidd's artwork, you like Marjorie Liu's storytelling, you'll really like that comic. And I just really enjoy it. I've really enjoyed it every single time I've read it. And unfortunately, I don't think they have book 3, so I was debating whether or not I should either read volume 1 again and then read volume 2 and be like, oh, where's volume 3? Oh, I have to wait another year for it. But it's kind of like a yearly tradition to read at the very least, the first volume in the series, because Monstrous comes out, the trades come out every year. It's a nice yearly tradition. And hopefully next time, hopefully it won't be the last, but hopefully when volume 10 of Monstrous comes out next year, my library will have the third and final series, for third and final entry in the series. I can tell I'm starting a lot. I say the wrong word, but and again, correct myself a lot easier. I'm able to easily correct myself. Alright, next up is I Walk with Monsters, and this is one that I felt another book that I felt the exact same way as did the first time. This is an insanely fast-paced comic that still is... It's not too fast-paced where, like, okay, I just got nothing from that comic, and I don't even know what I just read. No, it has a really nice story, and I want more from this. There's very little times where I'll feel... Not very little times, but... It's kind of a weird thing where I'm like, I'm glad this story was told in 6 issues, because it is very concise. Like, everything, all the loose ends are tied up for the most part. I will say the ending was a bit rushed. That's the only complaint I have with this comic. It is insanely good, and I highly recommend this comic. If it wasn't a reread, it'd be my pick of the week. But I guess since this is only like a small pile and it's a post-credit scene kind of thing, I guess it only count as part of this, a part of that. It's kind of in the middle, like literally in the middle. I guess I could say it's my pick of the week. Why not? Next up is The Devil's Red Bride. And this one, I was completely completely wrong about this. I thought this was the one. I guess I got it confused with I Walk with Monsters, but I always said, especially when I was showing up this book for the first time, I said, "Oh, it's really violent and has a lot of language." Only the former, and I was like, "Oh, it's surprising because Sebastian Gerner, the writer of this book, he wrote Scales and Scoundrels, and that's a kiddie book." And I don't know why, like, why did I get it confused with Paul Cornell's I Walk with Monsters? Paul Cornell, I don't know him as much as a writer as I do Sebastian Gerner. I know Paul Cornell has written Black Widow. He had a Black Widow Deadly Origin. And I remember liking that book enough, but I remember more from Sebastian Gerner's Scales and Scoundrels. So why did I get this confused with this one? I don't know. Maybe because they're both Vault comics, both the sentence kind of comics, like The Devil's Red Bride, I Walk with Monsters, Damn Them All, and other books like that. That's what I mean by sentence comics. Your boy Zach came up with the phrase, not me. So I'm basically piggybacking off of his name for these kinds of books, but it's one of those things that now that he's mentioned it, I can't unsee it. But maybe that's what it was. I have no idea. But as of today, I will not. As this me reading both these books back to back again, I will not get either of them confused with the other because this one was okay. You know, I'm not gonna completely avoid everything Sebastian Gerner has written. Thankfully, I did like his Scales and Scoundrels, but nor will I say, oh, he's better at writing kiddie books than he is writing more adult content. I think this book was just kind of like undercooked. It was pretty good. I did lose the plot here and there, and honestly, I kind of felt like it was like the exact opposite pacing that I Walk with Monsters had, which is unfair to say, yes, because it's obvious this is more story-based, and I Walk with Monsters is more like action-based and horror-based with action. More horror-based, so thus they need to build the atmosphere, not have so much dialogue, whereas this, it has to do with samurais, and of course it's going to have more dialogue in it. But even then, I was too wordy or anything like that. It was just kind of like going from I Walk with Monsters to this. I never, like, you would think I remember that, oh yeah, this book has slower pacing than other comics that were coming out at this time. Because this is a modern comic, too. It's actually both come out the same year. And I wouldn't say more than modern comics, I would just say, like, it has, like, the average, I guess. Like, a little bit above average. That's probably the best way to describe it. But it was alright. Like, if I had to give it a score, I'd give it, like, a 6 out of 10. I think that's fair. Definitely worthy of a third reread. But what's not worthy of another reread, and this is, if I had a pick of the week, we should also have an avoid of the week at all costs, and that is Project Cryptid. Everything that is wrong with anthology comics is present in this book. This book took me all day today to read. And I started it at 12, and it's now 5:20. I'll be generous and say I finished it at 4:45, but even that's being too generous. 4+ hours of reading this 140-page book, which might sound like a lot, but if I can read, I probably could have read I Walk with Monsters, the whole entire 5-issue miniseries, within 2 hours. And that's unfair to compare them to, of course, but like it's like this. It's more just because this did not keep my interest at all. I almost dropped this book and just gave up on it 4 times. 4 different times I almost gave up on this book. And now to say it took me 4 hours to read this book is a bit unfair because I had a couple breaks here and there, but it wasn't too major. Like I took a little break to eat. I took a break to watch some YouTube here and there, and then because it had been 4 hours. They made cookies, because the cookies were done by then. I had a cookie. That was it. I didn't go play video games. That was before. But, my God, taking 4 hours to read the slog of a book, that is pretty bad. 1 out of 10. Like, absolute 1 out of 10. I'll go over them again to my out of 10 scores, but, yeah. Spoiler alert, 1 out of 10 for that book. It's 1 too, thank God. I took a picture of the spines. I was like, oh, I did 2 before 3, didn't I? But anyways, we have the one that I didn't show off because I wasn't gonna read it. So So yeah, why did I read Project Cryptid all in one sitting when I said it was a 6-issue miniseries, or we had realized that it was, because I looked it up and I believe I said it on here on camera that it was a 6-issue miniseries, because this does not collect all the stories in the 6-issue miniseries, and thank God it didn't, because I'd still be reading this shit show of a comic. Now, there is one comic I liked, one story in here that I liked from the 6-issue miniseries, but that was it. It was the Frogman story, but everything else was just a slog. The Paul Cornell one was pretty damn good, too. And the Henry Barajas one was, like, weird, but it wasn't boring, so. But 10-page stories at most. I think it was, like, more like 5 pages. And even those just kind of, like, because everything else was terrible, it's like, oh, thankfully, oh, thank God, we got a story that's at least passable. So I guess a 2 out of 10. There, I'll be generous. So that was why I read this all in one setting. So I was like, oh, it's not complete. So then technically it's an OGN. I'll treat it as an OGN, and then I'll put that one to the side and decide to read Family Tree instead. I probably should have just put Family Tree to the side and then read Project Cryptid as it was like 6-issue miniseries, and just avoid the who cares that it's not technically a complete comic. Like, that probably would have made my reading experience a bit better, but I still would have felt the same way. Like, I don't think that saying, like, oh, I read this book all in one sitting, but if I read it in 6 issues, like, so read it once a day, it's like a miniseries, I read it one a day, that my overall opinion of the book would be different. No. A book, like, yeah, okay, you can technically make that assumption. Like, if you're reading an entire omnibus in one sitting, yeah, you're gonna get sick of it after a while. But even I take breaks. Like, I'm not gonna go all in one. Like I can't do that. But I Walk with Monsters, I would have no problem reading all that back to back in basically one sitting because of how good that comic is. I may just do that next time. But Project Cryptid was just not good in general, whether or not I read it within 6 issues and 6 parts or in all at once like I did. Anyways, moving on. Next up, we have Family Tree Volumes 2 and 3. Now, why 2 and 3? Well, I have the first 4 issues, i.e. Volume 1, in floppy form. So I have the first 6 issues, so first half of this series I had in floppies. I don't usually review floppies unless I'm doing its own separate video of like all the floppies I've read, or yeah, I did that a little while ago. It was like the floppies I had read in like the last month or so, or whatever, along with trades, I believe. But I don't usually review floppies and these. I don't know why. I don't know why I treat them as anything different. I'll still review them. Like when I do Symbiote Spider-Man, I'll still tell you guys how I felt of the book, but I just won't hold up the book. I guess it's easier to hold up both volumes, than it is to hold up the floppies. But anyways, this series in general is Jeff Lemire at his, I wouldn't say at his best, but it's showing that he is there's a reason for why Jeff Lemire is lauded as one of the best writers of our time. And best comic writers of our time. And this shows that he is not, even after years and years and years of writing comics, he has not slowed down one bit, nor is he getting rusty at all. This is insanely good. I've read this for a second time now, and it is one of those books that within 12 issues are able to tell so much, but also leave a bit up to interpretation in a good way. I do think we should have gotten maybe like 14 issues, because there's a couple of things I want answered. I feel like the ending was not rushed, but I feel like the ending was kind of like, oh, okay, like that's how I got into the book, all right. But it is a satisfying ending nonetheless, and a satisfying read nonetheless. So the next few are image books from my personal collection. One of them is obvious, but this one is not as much. Golden Rage. Actually, I should have them off. So it should be obvious to whoever saw the video. Golden Rage by Chrissy Williams. This one was pretty damn good. I think 5 issues. It should not have been 5 issues. It should have been 6 issues. Because, again, like with... I keep saying the same thing, I know, but unfortunately it's how I feel about some of these books. But I do think there's a lot that they didn't answer. It's more just like not open-ended. It's not the fact it's open-ended, just the fact that they just didn't like answer it, like almost like they forgot about it. But as their first comic, this is above average, and as the book itself, I do think it's really good. I will read this again very soon. I do highly recommend it. I would say one thing, that it's not as action packed as I thought it would be, but it's one of those books that you realize that pretty quickly, and then you don't get, like, it's almost like I don't even notice. Like, the only reason why I even remember that, oh yeah, this book was supposed to be action packed, wasn't it? Was because I read some reviews, and it's like, oh yeah, it was kind of advertised as being like an action packed thrill ride, and it was kind of like more of a on like characters themselves, but pretty damn good. One other downside is there was one part where, spoilers, hand up means spoilers, one of them dies. I'm gonna say who, because I honestly I don't remember. One of them dies, and there's like 3 of them left, and I was like, so wait, there was 4 or there 5? Like, I should have been asking myself that question. But other than that downside, this is a good book. I do like Golden Rage. I would recommend it. I would say it's worth the price of admission. I didn't feel like I was ripped off. I didn't feel like it was, like I should have gotten this book instead. Like, I didn't do that. And it's another book I'm glad I bought. I'm glad that I decided to, off a whim, buy a book called Golden Rage about old women fighting off, not like fighting off, but old women fighting off society, I guess you could say. Surviving in this apocalyptic world. There you go. Then we have the magnum opus, Black Science. And this is a book that just keeps getting better and better as it goes along. So much creativity in 43 issues. So much story that I can't fully review this without reading it again. But I will say that it's definitely, get the compendium. It's worth getting the compendium. Hell, it's worth getting those oversized hardcovers. As expensive as they are, because they're presented really damn well. If any of the other recommender oversized books are anything to go by, and it's well worth the price of admission too. But these, get them in trades, get them in compendiums, get the hardcovers, get the compendium, like you said. But any way you can get it, because this is a damn good series. I would say the most cost-effective way of buying this entire series is to get the compendium. Like, I'm not one of those people that needs to read everything in oversized format. The only time I felt that is with that hardcover of Watchmen I haven't read yet. I've read the series itself, of course, but I'll be reading a hardcover the first time I was like, oh damn it, I should have done the Absolute edition to read it for a second time in its best condition in the best edition possible. But other than that, and that's more just because I realized that my library had the Absolute edition. Other than that, I've never really been like, oh, I need to read a book in oversized format. I've always been just like, if is it cheap trades? All right, give me trades. That's where I'm gonna read it. That's how I'm gonna read it. I mean, then we have New Masters, and if there's ever been a reason for a good example of why I reread comics, this is it. Because everything I said about the book the first time is pretty much null and void. I said it was kind of confusing. I must have been super distracted back then when I read it, because it's not that confusing at all. There are a few things. I do think this book is a bit too fast-paced, and it's like if you miss one page in this book, it's kind of like missing like 5 pages in any other book. Like, kind of like you're just distracted and like, wait, what just happened? I feel like I've missed a whole bunch. Like, okay, catch you up. It's not just that. I do think this book is just like in of itself a bit too fast paced. I think this book was meant to be read all at once. It was meant to be an original graphic novel. It kind of does have that feel. I've never understood that, but I've never understood that reason behind. I've never understood that criticism, or just like that mantra in general. Other than with Wicked and the Divine and here. But here it's finally I was able to understand that. Not mantra, but people say that. People said about the book before, and I'm like, I don't really understand what you mean by that, but now I do understand that. But all in all, this is a really damn good book. Pretty good artwork. I think that the artwork, but the artwork does kind of suit its weird nature. There's some dialogue scenes that bits of dialogue that they're trying to make it like, oh well, this is how they characters would talk in this future world of like this alternate reality kind of thing. It's like in a sci-fi universe. It's like, all right, but it's weird. Like trying, it's basically like how Nerf Herder has become a Star Wars thing, but sounds weird to anybody else. It's kind of in the same vein as that, but it doesn't distract from the book at all. This is still a damn good book, and another great example of why I've been collecting nothing but Image for since 2022. Because all these Image books have been perfect. Like, I mean, really damn good. I have yet to read an Image book I absolutely hate besides Mother of Madness, and that I might just like better the second time I read it. You never know. Yeah, it's better. And that was honestly, that was just, you could make the argument that it was so bad it was good kind of thing. Like, it still good in the sense of like it still entertained me, but not even then. But I do own that book, and I will consider reading that again. Why did I buy a book I didn't like? Well, again, like I said before, I wanted to see how a hardcover and used good condition came in, and it was pretty good. Like, honestly, I would say used very good. Like, if I had to judge it myself, that's what I would have said. Honestly, if we're going by Amazon standards, Amazon Prime would have said, oh, new condition, because Amazon, they love to do that with even with the hardcovers, like the bend those corners. It's because of the way it ships. I understand. Speaking of, I check my Amazon packages. There are ones for I can't open until Christmas Day, of course, but it's like, might as well see so I can be there when it comes in, you know? Just put it back in the basement where it belongs. For until Christmas Day. Nothing yet. I know they're going to be a lot later than they should be. Or than they, Jane Foster Valkyrie, another reason why I reread books, and another great example for why you should reread books is this Valkyrie. Whatever I said last time, I should say it again. I don't remember how I said it. But the reason for why I reread books, nowhere is better. See? I can't say it. You guys know what I'm saying, though. Jane Foster Valkyrie Volume 2, like Volume 1, I really liked. I liked a lot more than I did the first time around. It went from a 2-star to a 4-star, but doing it out of 5 is really, I hate doing that. Like, out of 10, it's a lot easier. This book, I'd say 7 out of 10. And before, it was like a 5 out of 10, 4 out of 10. But with out of 5 stars, what's like 3 seems too low, 4 seems too high. You can't do 3.5, at least on the app that I use. That's the app that I use for cataloging. You can actually also review comics. I have star reviews, but it's a nice way of them saying, okay, you didn't like this book, we're not going to recommend you anything by this author or similar to this to you ever again. And if you really like something, like, okay, here's more from this author, here's more from this series, here's more in general, here's more from this. So yeah, out of 5 was really hard to do. And for that app it's not really an app, it's a website. But that website that I use is fine, because it's not like anybody is watching my reviews or anything like that, or reading my reviews. It's not a review, it's just starred to see, recommendations. But even then, I'm like, yeah, it's 4 stars I give to this and to, like, Planet of the Apes. It's kind of weird. But yes, Valkyrie, Jane Foster, really good series. One downside I will give is that I think it was too much for 10 issues, but still liked it. Beware the Planet of the Apes. Somehow better than the predecessor, Fall of Man. This is really damn good. Like, and not just like this is, if they're ever gonna make a sequel to the original Planet of the Apes movies, they should get Mark Guggenheim to write the script. This is really damn good. Now, I've not seen the original movies. I've only seen the remakes, which is why I liked Fall of Man so much, because it was set in that universe. But this is a great advertisement for, hey, I know the prequels are good, but hey, maybe the originals from a long time ago are good too. Maybe the originals from a long time ago are good too. I'm pointing there because I have the Blu-ray for the first 5 movies. So I'll be reading now that I have the Blu-ray, the TV down there fixed with the speakers, and I can watch Blu-rays on there again. Just gotta persuade anybody else, or watch myself, or because it's the TV that everyone else uses. I just gotta persuade whoever's down there at the time to watch them with me, or go somewhere else, any other 5,000 TVs we have. Yes, really damn good. you know what? This is my pick of the week. If I had to pick one that wasn't a reread, this would get it. Although I don't know, it's two others. Batman One Bad Day, The Riddler was not the best book for me to read for the first One Bad Day series. The Joshua Williamson one I've heard like across the board is really damn good. This one was just strange. Like even for Tom King, this was odd. Like it kind of, I don't know if he was told it was going to be a mini series, and he had to squeeze into 88 pages. But there was just like this book kind of just ends. I know it's one of those endings, but it just, not just that, but like everything else that happens in here is just strange. The whole concept is strange. They want to know what the Riddler commits a crime, but they want to know his motivation behind it. And there is a really good twist here that I really like, and it's like, oh damn, that's pretty damn good. And I like there's the flashbacks; those are really well written, but just the whole like, it kind of ends. It's kind of like, well, you can't end it here. I know what you're going for, but you can't set all this up and then choose to end it like, oh, did he do this or did he not? Like, it kind of, like, you should just, anything else could have worked, and you just got to do it this way. It's not how you do that. So overall, I have to give this book a 6 out of 10. 3 out of 5 stars. It was an easy, even with me just saying that I don't like doing don't like doing 5-star reviews, because 5 stars is too little, too like squeezed together. It's too like concise. And doing it out of 10, doing 10-star reviews it's a lot easier. So there's a lot more wiggle room. But this is an easy 3 out of 5 stars, 6 out of 10, maybe even 5.5 out of 10. Not a recommend. Although kind of maybe, you know. That's why I would say 5 out of 10. 5 out of 10, 3 out of 5 stars. It's a maybe recommend if you find it at your local library and you have time to kill. Like if you're on a long road trip. This took a long time to read. 88 pages. Felt like it was 188 pages. And to really kind of, not really a slog, just kind of the pacing. It's kind of off. I don't think Tom King is good at writing OGN. He's more good at writing 6-issue miniseries or 12-issue miniseries. He's got a lot more wiggle room. But this was just odd. I know not a lot of people are fans of Tom Taylor's writing, and honestly, that's a great example of why they feel that way. Then last but not least is Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong. I'm going to say the same thing I'll say to everybody else, and just keep it brief. It is a fun time. Like, that is just, it's a fun read. If you want something that's a nice little palate cleanser as a fun read, this book will fill will fill both criterias. Will meet both criterias. How's that phrasing go? I don't know, but if you want both that, it's gonna answer both those questions. If you want, if you're saying, hey, what's a good palate cleanser? Hey, what's a fun read that I haven't read yet? That's a modern comic. Look no further than this. That's what I'm trying to say. Look no further than this incredible comic. And that's coming from somebody who has had zero interest in Godzilla or Kong. Some here and there, like when I got Ultra Mega, that's Kaiju, and I finally bought that. Even then, I didn't want to buy Ultra Mega, even though I started the series, it was really damn good. It's a Kaiju, Godzilla, yeah, I'm good. But this, honestly, it does do the thing that I think a lot more Godzilla movies should do, and that's to make the human characters interesting. It's a bit of a cheat here, because it's obviously making them interesting, and it's written by Brian Buccellato, who was very well versed in DC Comics lore, so he knows how to write these characters by now. So it's a bit unfair to say, oh yeah, no shit, the human characters are written interestingly. But even then, like, it's easy to write the human characters interesting. Take the superhero aspect out of this, and you could make an argument that it's a good way. It's that Brian Buccellato, if anything, Brian Buccellato should write a Godzilla movie. But really damn good, exceptional work, well worth the wait. And that, as I say, is that 30 minutes going over like what? I should be counting that once I did a quick review of that Night Eaters, but I'm counting it technically. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 books. Wait, where's Project Cryptid? Is that in there? It was. Alright, so now I'll do my out of 10 reviews. If I gave this anything higher or lower, I apologize. But I think it was, I gave it like 9 out of 10. So 9 out of 10 for Night Eaters. 10 out of 10 for I Walk with Monsters. 9.5 out of 10 for I Walk with Monsters. The reason why is because I gave 10 out of 10 to Preacher. I wouldn't say this is like a top 10. I might. I just think like a top 10, it needs to be more than what's just a volume, you know? It needs to have more story to it. It can't be just like, you know what I mean? Like a miniseries, it has to be something that's like Preacher and Why the Last Man. They are both 60 plus issues. Well, Why the Last Man 60 issues. Like it has to be like at least, I'd say at least 30 issues of book to count as to count as a top 10. Because that means like those are like groundbreaking, break new molds, you know, break new ground. And yeah, a miniseries could do that, but 6 issues, even the best of writers would have a hard time doing that. They need at least 8 volumes to do that. Devil's Red Bride is 6 out of 10. Project Cryptid, I'll be nice, 2 out of 10, because I like 2 of the stories. Yeah, it was the Frog one. The Paul Cornell one I wouldn't even count. The Paul Cornell one was just kind of weird. And then I guess that, you know what, actually, 2 out of 10, I liked parts of the Paul Cornell and the Henry Baraja story, so there. And I liked all that Frogman story, that was pretty good. Family Tree, Volumes 2 and 3 I'm going to review as a whole, as one, and that is going to be a 9 out of 10. Golden Rage, 8 out of 10. Black Science, the series as a whole, and just the series as a whole, because and it wasn't like I liked any volume more than the other. It did get better as it went along, but overall, I would give it an 8.5 out of 10. Exceptional work. New Masters, 8 out of 10. Valkyrie Jane Foster, 7 out of 10. I think that's Fighter. 8.5 out of 10 for Apes. And that's another thing, like, oh, I gave Apes the same score as Black Science. That is why I do actual reviews. I'll just say, oh, 8.5 out of 10. That's why IMDb, well, it is nice, because sometimes they'll have something early. I can't just look at a movie like Inside Out 2 or whatever. Let's say Inside Out 2, that's a bad example. I want to give a good movie, like, Deadpool and Wolverine. I can't see an 8 out of 10 and be like, okay, so that's like, and it's still like, okay, good, you got reviews, but I need to see someone's review of it, you know. But Deadpool Wolverine's also a bad example because it's Deadpool Wolverine. I wasn't in that movie either way, unless everyone said it was awful. But even then, I probably would check it out to see what it was like. I don't know. I probably wouldn't have. Sean Levy. If they said it was bad, I wouldn't have seen it. But Sean Levy, I didn't like any of his other movies except for Deadpool Wolverine. So I guess which one I saw recently I thought was really, really good. I can't think of one though. It's weird, but you get the idea. Like something like I can't think of a single movie. I don't know why. I know my mind's drawing a blank. Challengers, I guess I liked, and I don't remember that movie all that much. If they like, it's just seeing a 7.5 out of 10. Like I need to see someone's review. I can't just say, oh, 7.5 out of 10. I gotta go see it. You know, that's why But it still is nice when people at the end of the review go 7.5 out of 10 for Challengers. So I know, okay, definitive. And it'll do the little thing that IGN does. Which you heard it here, folks, guys. The one good thing we'll say about IGN is they do have a little pointers. They'll say little bullet points. They'll say 7.5 out of 10. Yeah, okay, too much water, ha. But for the most part, the more competent writers have probably gone now because they fired all the good writers for reviews, journalists. They will give 7.5 out of 10. Good, the bad, and the good, and the bad. The good, oh, the story is really good, pacing is really good, the gameplay is really good, really fun if it's a video game. But downsides are it's a little glitchy and glitches here and there, and it's not super polished, but it's still a fun time. You know, like this 7.5. You know, okay in their regards. Anyways, moving on. 5 out of 10 for Riddler Bad Day. And then Justice League, 8.5 out of 10. Now, as I say, is that I think I have pretzeled on for long enough.